Welcome to About Face Theatre presents 5 Questions with, and today's guest, Marion O'Dwyer. Marion is one of Ireland's leading actors who has appeared many times on the stages of the Abbey, the Gate and Druid, as well as on Broadway, alongside her extensive screen credits, which include her role in the much beloved movie, Agnes Browne. Marion, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for being here. So we're going to just dive right in. We're going to start right away. So we just wanted to start with what play or experience first got you into theatre?
Well, it's a long time ago. I was at a performance in the Gate Theatre in Dublin of The Doctor's Dilemma, which is a Shaw play, which it's one of his more accessible plays, you know, but I think the play was semi-irrelevant to me, but there's an actress, Leslie Lawler, who swept on the stage in this wonderful cloak. And I remember we were quite close to the stage, and I just remember looking up thinking, oh, I want to be like her. You know? And the great irony is, of course, I don't get cast in those kind of parts, you know. I don't think I've ever been asked to sweep on in a cloak. Yeah, that was a moment that I can remember thinking, oh my God, I'd just love to do that, you know. So that started me off on the rocky road to ruin.
And so you're talking, Marion, there about Shaw, who's, you know, some of his plays are approachable, some are not. But for you, what's a great play that you love and why?
I've been lucky enough to be in a couple of Arthur Miller plays, which they're always so satisfying to do.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's such a wonderful playwright. I just love his work. But closer to home, and one of my favorites, and I was lucky enough to be in the first production of it, was Portia Coughlin by Marina Carr.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, at the beginning of lockdown last year, I was asked to audition for it for a production in London. And I remember we were locking down a little bit sooner than they were in London. And I thought to myself, they're never going to be doing this play. But you know what, I'm going to audition anyway. And I remember I spent the Sunday, they asked me to read for 2 different parts. And I just spent the whole day immersed in Marina Carr land and in Portia Coughlin land and these wonderful women that she's written, you know. And I just thought, I've had the most fabulous day because Marina's writing, you know, it's so quirky, it's so individual. She has this touch of the epic and the mythic, but the language is so earthy and raw and rough and tough. And the women are so interesting to play. I've been lucky enough to be in a couple of her plays, but it's just the satisfaction of it, you know, and there's always something more to get out of what she's written as well. There's many layers to it.
I love that.
Yeah, it's always a good sign, isn't it, when you're still digging, still finding depth, you know.
Yeah.
Rehearsals and doing the shows and stuff, you know.
Yeah, and it is that thing of when you get older, of course, like, you know, the play, when I first was in the play, I played Maggie May, and I was a bit young for it at the time. And I was sort of semi-hoping, well, they might cast up now and I might get seen for Maggie May, because I just loved playing her. And she had one of my most favourite lines ever on stage, when talking about her partner, you know, somebody says something about Cinchel, and her line was, Cinchel warm born, he were knitted on a wet Sunday afternoon. It's the most glorious line ever. But obviously I've moved up a few notches in the age department, so I wasn't being seen for that, but I was being seen for the 2 older roles, and there was equal satisfaction, like, you know, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was a funny experience because it really taught me that, oh, you don't mind if there's no audience, you don't mind if there's no hope of a job, you just like doing this stuff. Maybe that's a worry, I don't know.
Well, those are those great performances you give by yourself, you know, rehearsing of an afternoon. Those are amazing.
This kitchen has seen the best.
Well, and speaking of, like, you know, this the unexpected, you know, like this has really been for us, you know. Has there, you know, can you think of a time in your theater life where something, you know, didn't go as planned, as you know, didn't end up how you expected it to be?
Well, there was one occasion, I mean, it's always, you know, I remember starting off, somebody was talking about, you know, when you get cast and stuff and when you don't get cast. And sometimes the most important word you can say is no to something that's not right for you, you know. But I remember I was auditioned for a role in the West End. And I was playing in a play at home in Dublin, and I kind of snuck over to London for this audition. It was a scary day because I remember getting back in time for the theatre and just my heart going up. But anyway, they offered me the role, but it clashed by 2 weeks with the job I was doing at the time. And there was a lot of toing and froing with the agents and tearing out of the hair and everything. And eventually they came back and said, look, if it was just 1 week of an overlap, we could accommodate it, but 2 weeks is a bridge too far. So I lost out on the role. So I was very disappointed. And the irony was then that the play I was in closed a week early. So I but then, see, you never be sorry, or, you know, you have to wait till the end of the story in a way, because what happened then was the play in the West End, it would have been a 6-month contract. That's what they were proposing. And it closed early. And because I didn't go to the West End, I did a production of Tuppenny Opera here in Dublin, which starred Marianne Faithfull, which meant I was singing opera.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how much I got away with, but you know, it was a brilliant experience, and it really stretched me, you know, learning wise and as a performer and all of that. And I remember thinking, you know, the other part was lovely and it was a lovely play, but it wouldn't have done as much for my acting muscles as the one I ended up doing. So you kind of have to always sort of be philosophical and go punches sometimes, you know, when things don't go your way. Sometimes is a good reason for it, you know. But that was one where it was just so mad that, you know, the way the overlap was there and then it wasn't there and all of those things. But in the end, then, you know, I got a lovely job, which actually, maybe more importantly, I made some lifelong friendships during that job. And, you know, sometimes that's as valid a reason for a job to be part of your CV as being a magnificent role, you know, sometimes the life relationships you make.
Yeah.
And even in terms of work-wise, then, you know, maybe different kind of associations you make with people from those jobs. So you just never know why you're doing a job, you know. Sometimes it can lead to all sorts of nice things, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So sometimes you're gnashing your teeth, not knowing that actually it's going to turn out pretty nicely in the end.
Yeah.
You kind of have to have faith that whatever's for your own good will work out, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So, Marion, obviously, you know, you have had a phenomenal career in the theatre, but what keeps you coming back to the theatre? What moves you? What excites you about it?
It's funny. It's kind of an addiction. Somebody posted a picture from the stage of the Gate Theatre about a couple of months ago. And it gave me such a pang, because you were seeing the empty auditorium from the stage. It's what you see when you're warming up, you know. And I thought, oh, I can't wait to get back there. And the funny thing is, like, you know, when I was finishing up in the Abbey last year, which is the last time I was on stage, actually, Drama Inish. I remember on the last night thinking, God, I wonder when will I be lucky enough to get back here again. And you know, you just can never take it for granted that you will get back, pandemic or no. but I don't know. It's just, I feel more at home on stage. I feel like I just enjoy the kind of, I don't know, it's a sort of you're constantly listening to the audience and listening to the other actor and trying to figure out stuff. And I just enjoy it so much, you know. I'm terrified of it always as well, of course.
Even still.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is there. I think I often talk to that with people about that, like, that acting kind of is an addiction, you know, that I think otherwise there'd be times you'd probably step away, except for the fact that I think it is like a drug, you know. You keep getting called back to it.
I mean, you know, people say, like, you know, I always say that to somebody. It comes up to me and says, oh, my daughter or my son wants to be an actor, any advice? And I would say, well, you know, if they have to do it, let them do it. But if they don't have to do it, you know, it's equally a brilliant hobby. There's brilliant amateur groups, especially in Ireland. There's brilliant amateur companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they don't have to do it as a profession, well, then don't go through the agony of it. It's quite an unforgiving vocation that way, you know. Even when it's going well, it's tough sometimes. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I love it and it has rewarded me amply. But, you know, there are times when it breaks your heart as well, you know. So I think that, you know, for people starting out, you need to be adaptable. You need to be able to roll with the punches. As I said before, you kind of need to go with the flow of whatever's going on. But you kind of have to have this dual thing of have rhinoceros hide, but be sensitive at the same time. You know,
yeah. Well, the contradictions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's part of what makes it interesting, and part of what's appealing about it is that you're so human. You use so much of your humanity, you know?
Yeah. And nothing goes to waste. That's the other thing. Like, it's a bit like being a writer. No experience goes to waste. Like, you know, for young people now, I think it's so tough. I really feel for them. I mean, I just feel lucky that I'm at this stage of my life, going through a pandemic like this. If I was, you know, in the middle of starting out doing plays, my heart would be completely broken. And I know it's so tough. But the thing is, you can keep doing all sorts of things are useful, you know, whether it's learning a language or reading loads of plays, or, you know, there's so many different things you can do that will enrich your ability to be an actor when you get to do it again, you know.
That's very true. And sort of related, but almost the reverse, is a question about like, is there any skill from theater, that you've learned or acquired that you actually use outside of the theater or in the rest of your life?
Well, I was glad you asked me about this before, because and actually the funny thing is, it sounds very basic, but one of the best acting notes I ever got was to stay in the moment, you know, when you're on stage. And it's one of the hardest things to do, because you're kind of fast forwarding about your quick change, or thinking about the next scene, which is harder than this scene, or you're always doing sort of a few things at once in your head. But if you can stay in the moment and actually listen to what the actor opposite you is giving you, listen to what the audience are giving you, that's when you get the sweet spot, you know. And in fact, I think that's great for life, like to stay in the moment and not be kind of going, oh, you know, about the future and in the past, you know, you rob yourself of a lot. And so I think stay in the moment is what I would take from for life, you know.
Yeah, beautiful.
No, I think that's great advice.
I think it's great advice.
And then that's brilliant, Marion. And so just kind of as a kind of a bonus question, what are you working on at the moment?
Well, I'm working on a film at the moment. I was lucky enough to get cast. It's so funny doing self-tapes at home in the house. I haven't met the director yet, but I'm going to be working Friday week on this film. So I'm looking forward to that. It's called The Silence of Mercy, and it's a horror. I hope they don't make me go and see it, because but theatre-wise, a friend of mine, Claudia Carroll, has written a beautiful play based on one of her books. It's called The Secrets of Primrose Square. And we were in rehearsals for that. We were doing a sort of Zoom rehearsals of that. Initially, we were going to be doing an Irish tour. And then with restrictions, that had to be changed to doing a streaming of it. And even that now we've suspended for the moment, the way things are. So I'm hoping we'll get to come to a theatre near you sometime soon this year with The Secrets of Primrose Square. It's a beautiful play, 3 women, really gorgeous parts, and it's got a lot of humanity, bit of humour, and touch your heart as well. So,
lovely.
Beautiful.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Well, Marion, again, thank you so much for joining us. This is such a delight. And I mean, I feel like, there's loads of things I want to pick your brain at. So at some stage, we're going to go to the pub. I'm going to ask you more.
I appreciate yak. I love.
And thank you for joining us. It's so great to have you here with us and AboutFACE Theatre. And our AboutFACE Theatre presents 5 Questions With. We look forward to sharing the next one with you.
If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to us on YouTube like us on Facebook, and share. Thanks for watching.